All right, good evening. This is Robbie Lindeman from the Florida High School Athletic Association. I want to thank you all for joining us tonight as we talk about the girls weightlifting district and regional meets that'll be upcoming here January 24th through the 27th and February 1st through the 3rd. We've got a group here, Coach Johns, Coach Deke Story, and Margie from weightliftingscore.com that are here to answer any questions and basically walk us through the do's and don'ts for our weightlifting meets that are upcoming here at the end of January and early February. Want to thank Deke and Dan Marcy for filling in for me at the FHSAA conference this past weekend. I want to thank everybody for being there and being able to attend our FHSAA conferences, and apologize that I was out of the state in Dallas, Texas, attending another conference. So want to thank you all for being here. We do know for you college football fans, there is a game that's about to kick off here this evening. So we don't want to keep you too long, but we also want to make sure that we answer any questions that you may have when it comes to hosting a meet and working with weightliftingscore.com, and also working with the folks throughout our state like Bobby and Deke and others that will help you host your events. So I'm actually going to turn it over to Deke. He is going to start us off. And we will answer any questions throughout the chat that you may have throughout this hour-long webinar. Again, want to thank you all and appreciate you all in promoting the sport of weightlifting, and look forward to a good hour-long service here.
I think first off, thanks, Robbie. Thank you, everybody, for being here. One of the things I'd like to stress to everyone is the first thing that you need to do is probably get in constant communication with the other participating schools in your district. One of the biggest issues we have in running these meets, especially when it comes to districts, is getting that entry list in at the appropriate amount of time. So you got to make sure that you are getting in touch in some form or fashion with the participating schools. Whatever it is, whatever apparatus you're using to have them turn their entry list in, whether it's a Post-it note or whether it's Google Sheets or whatever the case may be, just make sure that you've communicated that and when and if your deadline is going to be. That would be my biggest take on things as far as getting things started. Once the meet does get started, make sure that you've gotten your weigh-ins done, and the coaches double check that the weigh-ins have been entered, their lifters' weights have been entered in properly. The last thing you want to do is be making decisions based off a body weight of another lifter and that weight is incorrect. So please, if you are the host, or even if you're not the host and you're going to another site, please make sure that all coaches double and triple check their lifter's weight. Once the meet gets started, everything should be final. It would be unfair to other coaches that have been making decisions based off of a weight that was entered and then to turn around and change that weight. So it's going to be each individual coach's responsibility to make sure that that weight is entered correctly. And then it will be the meet host's responsibility to make sure that each coach has either double checked that or realized whatever is entered will be final once the first lift goes up. Likewise, too, at the end of the meet, make sure everything is verified, double checking that there's all of the weights are entered in correctly, which you do not want to go home or try to get out early, then realize once you've left that a weight was either marked incorrect or correct that wasn't correct, and then totals have been affected by that. If you're able to get a technical controller to help you run your meet, it can be difficult to, if you're a team, you have a lot of girls or guys and your team is trying to and they're in the running for a district or regional championship, sometimes it can be very difficult to be the TC for that meet and coach that meet at the same time. It can be done. Coaches have done it for years. But if you're able to get someone outside of your district, if they're in your district, that's fine too. But outside of your district would be best to be the TC for that regional or district meet. That's just kind of my hints on trying to kind of keep everything kind of tight. Make sure that the body weights are entered in correctly. There's no interpretation for an overweight lifter. So they're either inside of the class or outside of the class. So make sure that it should be down to the 10th of the pound as well. So if someone weighs 135.5, don't leave that 0.5 off. Make sure that it's down to the 10th, and that there is a weight entered in for each lifter. There's been times where we've reviewed results after the meet and have seen that there's been a weight that a body weight that was not entered. Other than that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to either Margie or Bobby if you have anything you need to add.
Yeah, Deke, just let me add, if anybody has any questions, feel free to put those in the Q&A box there at the bottom. I know Mel has asked one question. Actually, we were up to four that Margie is answering as we work through the questions.
Yeah. Another thing, make sure the district knows this is the first year, I think the first or second year, that we are doing night before weigh-ins only for the state meet. Other than everyone should be doing night before weigh-ins unless you have talked to Robbie or someone from the FHSAA, and it has been approved for the day of. But overall, over the last handful of years, there's been very few and limited lifters that have come to the morning of weigh-ins. So if you can if everyone's able to get there and get that night before weigh-in before, that's awesome. You are also able to run night before weigh-ins for your district and regional meets. Again, just please make sure that you have communicated all that through text and or email, and give that option. But again, communicate that with your district or region, whether you're going to make it mandatory to do night before or you're going to allow both. Either way it goes, it's the same rules apply where the entire team must be there. Okay. So if you've decided to do night before weigh-ins and you have a lifter that is stuck in traffic or a lifter that couldn't make it because of some other sports practice or another sports game, then you have to wait for that last team member to get there. If you come to night before, you've weighed your team and that other lifter has not made it in that time, then you've just sacrificed that lifter for that meet. Okay. So remember, whether it's night before or day of, the entire team has to lift at the same time, has to weigh in at the same time. Please double check to make sure their names are spelled correctly. I've had lifters come to me during the state meet unhappy with the fact that their name was spelled wrong. A lot of it is copy and paste right into our scoring system. So as you enter it into districts and on into regionals, please make sure that before the meet starts, even preferably before weigh-ins, days before weigh-ins, or when your entry list is due, make sure your lifter's name is spelled correctly. Bobby, you got something to add?
Yeah, Deke, why don't you just because since it's new this year, go over the qualifying procedures to go from districts to regionals.
Okay, so the qualifying procedures is the same going into districts as it is coming out of districts and then coming out of regionals into state. Well, the first place in each weight class for each discipline will get an automatic bid to the following round. Okay, so if you're district champ, you'll get automatically put in the regionals. If you're a regional champ, you'll get automatically put in the state. Second place through 10th place will get all collected from all the different districts at the district level, and then all the different region at the region level. And then we'll take the next best, was it 16 totals? Next best 16 totals to get us up to 20 lifters.
So just to clarify on that, Dee, so please, coaches, do not just rely on the meet host or someone at the meet saying, hey, your girl qualified. Make sure that you wait until the qualifying list comes out on Weightlifting Score, because a lot of times we'll get phone calls or we'll get kids that will show up at the regional and someone at the district meet told them that they qualified and they actually did not. So just make sure that we understand until those totals are put together and tallied and put on weightliftingscore.com, they are not official. So that you don't tell your girls they qualified until that list comes out and you know for sure they did, unless they're a district champion.
Yep. Yeah. So the only one that automatically gets in is that district champion. We were in Panama City, and there was a team out of Orlando who had 5 or 6 girls, and 2 or 3 of them were not qualified because they were told that I think they got, just because they placed, that they were in. If I'm not mistaken, Margie and Scott through Weightlifting Score will actually have an unofficial list running, and that unofficial list, if I'm not mistaken, will be put up Saturday night after the last lift goes down for the last district and the last region. And there will be a screening process, make sure that everything has been put in, and then following all corrections that will be made within the next day or two. I want to say by Monday or so-ish, that there will be the unofficial tag will be taken off, but it'll be bright and big as day, nice and big and red, that says unofficial. Okay, so again, that is unofficial until that stamp has been taken off. I had a question here. Someone said that they were new to the game, and they were asking how many weight classes, how many different weight classes are there? So there's 10 different weight classes. Those weight classes are 101, 110, 119, 129, 139, 154, 169, 183, 199, and unlimited. Those are the 10 different weight classes. Okay, so Coach asked, what is done to prevent the other regions or other districts or regions from seeing totals that I've finished early? My answer unofficially is the totals that have been posted, or for meets that have happened. Coaches get their hands on those totals anyway. So what'll end up happening is the well-known, more popular coaches will get their hands on all of the totals, and other people will not have those. Again, I can't speak for the FHSAA or for Margie and Scott themselves, but I've had, even myself, I was training a lifter out in Gainesville Health and Fitness on a Saturday after a district meet, and another lifter from another school showed me a screenshot that her father had, who was not a coach. And so I was just curious on how, she didn't know how he got it. But when things are done digitally, they can be passed around no matter what scoring system you're using. So the bottom line is, I think the answer to that question is, if you do not want your totals to be posted earlier, then you may need to have your meet later on in that week.
So Deke,
It's been a
can we
little,
talk quickly about so I want to talk quickly about some of the things that are needed from Weightlifting Score from all of the coaches. That's going to help tremendously through this process. Is that okay?
yes, ma'am.
So there's a couple of things that we still need. So if you are a district or a regional host, it is very, very important that you have reached out to info@weightliftingscore.com and sent us your Gmail account or your login that you're going to be using as the host school. It's also very important that we have the ability to get in touch with you during the meet and post meet when these events are happening and there are questions, because no matter what prep work we all do, there will be things that there will be questions, there will be name spellings, there will be questions about ties, there's going to be questions about who did what, when, where, and how. So it's going to be really important that we're able to get in touch with you. One of the most valuable pieces that we've heard from coaches is that they can make their next sets of plans. So the reason that we post this unofficial roster early is so that if your kids are in that top 10, it's a pretty safe bet that you're going to be able to start making plans. When your kids are in that 15 to 20 market, then you have to wait until things get finalized. So there are questions that we're going to need to be answered. So we need to be able to get a hold of you. So if you are a district host or regional host, I would ask that you send a quick email out to the info@weightlifting score and shoot us over your email that you want to make sure that we've got the right one and that we have a way of getting in touch with you via phone or text during the week of districts. I promise we're not going to harass you about stuff. We just need to be able to get a hold of you. The other part is, like Deke was talking about, is that name and the spelling in there to make sure that you are, accurately putting in that information to the best of your ability, and resolving all of your ties. So even though a tie may not seem important because it's not for scoring purposes on the top 1 through 3, it could be important for your child to be able to qualify, for that athlete to qualify moving forward. So if you've got a red box on your scoring, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm happy to explain it. But if you have a tie in your event, it's going to be really important that you resolve those ties. We had several situations that held us up last year in regionals where there were ties that we needed to get resolved that kind of pushed us a whole nother day before we could get those answers. So those were some of the key takeaways that were issues for us last year and getting resolved. If you do have other questions, though, we are more than happy to reach out and help you and support you through the process. During districts and regionals, we have 4 people that are going to be available to you to help you day of and throughout that weekend to make sure that any questions that you have that are resolved. There is one technical question that continues to come up because people use Chromebooks, and this is a blessing and a curse. I love coaches that are super prepared. They will go in and you will set up all of your computers and all your browsers will be open. Everything will look great. And then you will come in the next day and the platform, you can't see the little tabs on the bottom. If that ever happens to you, all you have to do is refresh the browser. So if you just refresh the browser, it will open up. But I wanted to be transparent because I've seen that happen a couple of times for folks. And we're happy to take care of it. Deke, do you want to answer the question about how to resolve ties? Because that definitely is a thing for you.
So how to resolve ties? One, you will just reweigh, and then the lighter person will get the higher place. If they reweigh and then they're the exact same weight, reweigh them again or reweigh them one more time. And then if that's still the case, then you split the medals, split the points. You'd have to let the host site know, or the FHSAA know, to figure out how to get the other medal. And then you have to split the points. One way of doing that is if we're both weigh 154 and you don't necessarily change the weight to the new weight of what they just reweighed. But if we both officially weighed in 154 exactly, then afterwards we reweigh again, and lifter A is 155, lifter B is 156. Then what you would do is just add 1 ounce onto that lifter B, so they would be 154.1. You wouldn't necessarily change their entire weight. That way the score will be able to separate itself on the final scoring tab. Is that correct, Margie?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay. Are there any other questions in regards to, there was a question regarding the links. I'm not sure which links that you're talking about. But again, the host site or the host school will be given a link to the actual scoring system itself, and they'll be able to dish that out to their scorekeepers. But if you want your district entry list, that is totally up to you as a district host. Again, if you want to have it on Post-it notes, you can put it on Post-it notes. They can text it to you, they can email it to you, however you do it. What I like to do is I'll make a Google Sheet, and I'll make a Google Sheet for each one of the teams in our district, and I'll put some coaching information to fill out and so on and so on. And then what I can do is I will duplicate that for each one of the schools in our district, and then send that out or email it to that district coach, so that coach can have access to their list. But again, with the one thing I love about Google is that it's a live system. So everything that if I send you a sheet and I'm the host, everything that you type in, it already comes to me. So there is no need to resend that. Okay. But the entry list is up to the district host, how they want to do it. I will suggest that you get in touch with your district ahead of time, because what you will find is that if you send it out 2 weeks prior and you make a deadline, there will be a school that doesn't even open that link up until the day before weigh-ins or the day of. And again, it's up to you how you handle your entry list. If you want to allow changes up to the start of weigh-ins, then that is up to you. That was kind of a hot topic at the FHSAA meeting, as far as when district lists are due and so on. There are certain hosts. I know if I'm hosting districts, I want my sheets to be in line. And so I'm going to have our entry list due a day or two before the meet. And that is the terms and conditions of us hosting, is that you're going to have your entry list done by this X amount of day. That whether that's a week before the meet or whether that's at the very second of weigh-ins, just make sure that is communicated through the district host, through the rest of the schools. Margie, I think this is a question for you. Do all participating schools have to pay $40 for weightlifting score, or just to host? Go ahead, Margie.
Yes, so that is all schools have to pay the $40. It is not just the hosting school. That fee has been divided up amongst all of the schools so that it's equal. And that $40 covers all of your support for districts, for regionals, and for state. So it's a one-time fee for every school.
Anything else? There was, I had a, looks like there's another question here. Can you send those copy? Can you send the host a copy of the meeting?
Deke, while you're looking, I'm just going to say something. So there's been a lot of changes, not really changes, more or less just cleaning up of the rule book this year. Coach Story was kind of in charge of that and did an outstanding job of cleaning that up and making a few changes along the way. So I would encourage all coaches, not just district hosts, but all coaches, to make sure that you are as familiar with that rule book as you possibly can, and especially any of the clarifications or changes that are usually they're usually highlighted. So I would just encourage everyone to make sure that you take a real close look at that, because there has been a few things that have been altered and cleaned up a little bit. So it's important everybody's on the same page so there's not issues when you get to your district meet.
Okay. Can you cover handling ties again?
Okay, so once again, if we've tied in body weight, tied in weightlifted. So we've both lifted 400 pounds. We both weigh 169. Okay. If we're tied in both, what we will do is right after that, we'll recognize the tie. There should be a little red mark on the side and weightlifting score. We would announce, hey, we need to see a coach from this school and a coach from this school. We'll let the coach know what's going on. The coach will go and get their lifter. Both lifters will come, and then they will both jump in on the scale at the same time. Well, not the same time, but one right after another. Okay. Once they've done that, the lighter lifter will get the higher placing. Okay. One of the ways of doing that is, if the heavier lifter, you will just add 1 ounce to their total, or to their body weight, not weight lifted, but to their body weight. So again, if we were 169, but then we both reweighed, even if it's overweight, that doesn't disqualify you or make you overweight. So if I've made weight at weigh-ins, but at the time of the meet, after I've eaten breakfast, lunch, and so on, if I'm overweight, that is okay. This is strictly just to figure out the placing for this time. Once we've done that, then we'll go back and figure out who gets the win. If it's tied again, what I've done is I've reweighed them at least 3 times. I think you really only have to reweigh them once, but we've reweighed them at least 3 times. All 3 times, I think it happened at the state meet last year, all 3 times they reweighed the exact same. And what it was, I think there was a sophomore and a senior. The sophomore won, or they were, instead of splitting the medals, the sophomore just gave the medal up for the senior, which was, I don't remember what school it was, but that was pretty class act. So that's again how we would, ties go down to reweighs. Let's see. Okay, so someone asked about an email for judges. I just missed it. So Coach Gables just asked for an email for judges. Coach, if you will just send me an email and let me know where you are, what school you're at, then we could possibly share that with you. I would let the judges know that you may need some judges at your school or wherever you are, and then we can kind of go from there. But just email me privately. Let me see if I can find that. I'll put my email in there. It's just deekstoryweightlifting@gmail.com. Hopefully I spell it right.
Hey, Deke, to reemphasize this tie situation, it is a red, it shows up as a red cell on their score total. and it is recommended that they use 0.001 added to their the heaviest person. And then when we go in to the at-large pool, we're looking for those corrections. So because we're adding, when you guys put your weights in, you're typically only putting it to the 10th. We are looking for that extra 0.1 that's being added to it, so that it doesn't affect their at-large. I have not had that happen where a tie that was broken affected somebody's at-large rate. But that's why we use like the 0.001 to break the tie, and that it's important that you don't put their weight that they were at the end of their tie. So it's important that you keep their weight in there that they were when they started their meet. Hopefully that answers the questions.
Got another question. It's up to yes, it is up to the district host to load everything into weightlifting score. Correct, Margie?
Yes, that's correct. The district hosts do have to enter their stuff in. It can be just copied and pasted into the sheet there. They can use the paste special function if it's sent an email. So it's a very easy and fast process to do. But once it goes to regional and state, we take it over from there to make the sheets for regional and state.
Okay, Margie, we got another question here about sorting in the sheets based on total. Can you answer that one?
So he's needing the sheets to auto source on each page based on the total. So I'm not hunting. I can look into that. Let me see what we can do there.
The 3 judges per platform, that is up to you as the district host or regional. That X for regionals. That's up to you. I know if you can find 3 qualified judges, then by all means do so. I know some coaches or some hosts only like to use 1, but that is that is up to you as a regional host. Between 25 or 30 so schools, I would think that you would be able to find 30 qualified or 15 qualified. The question comes is if you are only able to find 11 or 12 qualified, you don't want to put someone in that judge's chair that is not qualified. So either you have, according to the platforms you have, if you can get 30 of them, then or if you can get enough to put 3 per platform, then by all means you do so. But you don't have to. You can have 1 as long as that 1 judge or 3 judges are qualified, then that's just fine. Okay. Again, is there any other questions in regards to running a host meet? Again, some stuff to consider. Just make sure if you're charging for parking, make sure that you, again, let the qualified schools know. Be able to determine if you're charging just the parents, making sure you're not charging for teams to pull in, but make sure you get that figured out as well. And again, bottom line is whatever you've decided, however you decided for your district or regional meet, make sure that you've communicated that with all schools. Even right now, where I'm in the middle of getting a letter together for our district host or for our regional teams that may potentially be coming. There is no such thing as too much communication. Again, if I've done that, if you're in a region or a host or a meet that I've involved in, that I'm running, then please forgive me, but there's no such thing as too much information. And Coach Boyer, you got it, buddy. What qualifications do the judges need? At the state meet, we're asking for judges to be USAW certified with a background in weightlifting. Obviously, USAW is Olympic lifting, and that's not there's no bench press in USAW. However, that is a major component with the 2/3 of our lifting. But what makes a judge qualified? Can you tell what as long as the judge can tell what a good lift is, as long as that judge is able to understand the rule book thoroughly, as long as the judge is able to articulate what they've seen and what they've lifted a lifter for to a coach, and it's not easily intimidated, I think that would make anybody a qualified judge in that sense. But again, you as that district host, you as that regional host, you will have to determine who is a qualified judge. Me personally, if I'm hosting a district, or hosting a region, I will judge it myself before I will allow somebody else that's not qualified. The last thing you want to do is have someone that doesn't know the rule book judging a meet, because that would be disastrous. Explain how a qualifier for FWF state. So one of the things that we're doing is in trying to get a majority of our judges qualified or USAW certified, referee certified. The last year through Danny Camargo, we were able to use the state totals to lead into FWF state championship. But one of the things that was hindering us from doing that was the translation between pounds to kilos, which is an easier qualification to make. The other thing is having certified judges. USAW did not recognize just a coach that's been judging for 30 years or coaching for 30 years or X amount. They didn't recognize that. However, through Danny Camargo, he was able to get some things taken care of. And I want to say we had maybe 38 out of 50 judges that were USAW certified. And even right now, we have another 8 or so that are still trying to get that certification. So with that being said, I will double check with Danny, but as far as I know, they're still planning on doing the same thing where the state totals will be converted. And the key is you must have that USAW membership first, or at least before you leave the state meet. Danny Camargo was actually at the meet himself, and he was registering girls and boys for USAW. The FWF state will also be in Swanee this year in Live Oak. So Dan Marcy from Swanee, him and Danny, and I'll be helping out as well. We'll be running the FWF state. So if you have any questions regarding that, please feel free to email Danny or email Dan Marcy at Swanee or email myself. But again, this year's totals should be able to lead us right into or qualify us, your lifter for FWF state. But they need to have a USAW membership before they leave that state meet on that day. So whether it's that Friday or that Saturday, make sure they have that USAW membership. So if you know someone, or if your lifter is someone that is even considering using the state meet to qualify for USAW, go ahead and have them register and get that membership now, or get it, ahead of time, just so there's nothing to be in question. Let's see, how soon after districts will be completed will the region be available? The regional list is already available I don't know if the regional list is already up for who is hosting regionals. I don't know if you're talking about Coach Rollins. I don't know if you're talking about
He's asking about the qualifier list.
Yeah, he's just looking for the turnaround time, which you talked about earlier.
I want to say, I think we quoted 2 days, but last year I think was the fastest turnaround in years past. For those that have coached long enough, sometimes going through all those things, it may have taken the FHSAA 3 to 5 days, or it might be up to that Thursday till the list comes out. I want to say last year we quoted, we said by Monday or Tuesday, but it was pretty much done within 24 hours. So everything is all fed into the system. The system spits it all out, and again, it's all unofficial until we've gone through those. There will be coaches that will let us know of certain spelling corrections, or someone that might have been listed wrong or something. Hopefully all of that stuff will be worked out at the meet itself. As we've gotten through the years, each meet, each district meet, each regional meet has been done just a little bit more efficiently each time. So we're getting better. It's a little crazy at first. Everybody was learning the same thing, but it's kind of gotten itself to where it's working itself out, and all of the labor is being done within that. Okay, got another question here. Margie, again, it is a sorting question. I don't know if you want to take that one, Margie.
So currently the individual pages do not sort for the individual sheets. They are set to make it easier for the people that are scoring to keep track of where everybody is, so that they're all in the same order all the time. And the main page is where it auto updates to keep the top ranking people. I hope that answers your question.
Corey, just so I'm on the same page with you, so you don't want just their total to update. You want to be able to look at lifts as they update to continuously move forward. Is that what I'm hearing?
As coaches typing that in, had a question asked about filling spots. If a lifter is, if they've been typed in, and you wanna take that lifter out, you would not delete the row. I don't know if you're even able to do that, but don't delete the row. You would just go in and delete the name from within that cell, and then you can paste everybody up and so on. But as far as filling spots, you would just, delete that person out, delete that lifter out of the cell, or you could just leave them in. The other thing you can do as far as filling out your scoring system, if a lifter is traditional only, we call it pink out, I guess, where you would just put an in the system for their snatches. And if they're an Olympic lifter, you would just put an N through all of their bench presses. And then that way you could see that those pink boxes would equal that they're not doing that specific that specific discipline. Okay.
Deke, do you want to talk about when a student athlete that qualified does not advance and a student athlete does not fill since they did not qualify at their actual meet?
Okay, so when and this happens all the time, where we'll get after the qualifying list has been placed, or the unofficial tag has been taken off, we'll get a notification that someone has been injured, or someone decided to, and this happens all the time for boys, someone has decided to go to prom. Let me say this first, and I'm going to try to say this as professionally as possible. If you have a lifter that you know is not going to go on to regionals, or you have a lifter that you know is not going to prom or not going to the state meet. If the state meet weekend is during, homecoming or whatever, they have a cheerleading thing, or not to throw cheerleading, but any other thing that's going on that's going to prevent them. It's very disappointing to know that someone has advanced all the way through when they knew they couldn't be there for the state meet. So I think that it does other lifters a disservice when you have a lifter who lifts and you know they're not going to be there for regionals, or you know they're not going to be there for state. Now, life happens. People get sick, people get hurt, things pop up, you get, stuff happens. But if you have a lifter that's going on a cruise, she didn't just pay for that cruise last week. Okay. So please keep that in mind as we move forward. However, once the list has been made official, if a lifter drops out or falls out for whatever the case may be, and Robbie, you correct me, it is not within the FHSAA's policy to refill that spot. Sure, it would be awesome, but I don't think that is within the FHSAA policy to refill that spot. Am I correct, Robbie?
That is correct.
Okay, so there will be, if your lifter was the 21st lifter, and number 9 got injured or can't make it, we don't push forward the 21st lifter. Now, what does happen, and this happens quite a bit, where we'll have a tie, a body weight or a weight lifted tie between the 17th place and the 23rd place. Okay. Well, if the 17th place, let's see, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21, if they all measure the exact weight lifted and they all measure the exact same body weight, then we will include that 21st lifter. Okay. But however, if the weight lifted is the same, but then the body weight changes, then we only take those ones that are lighter are the ones that I've actually won through that, if that makes sense. Okay. So if weight lifted is the same and the body weight is the same, we will take that extra 1 or 2 lifters. But if the weight lifted is the same, but is separated by body weight, then that body weight would cut it off, not weight lifted. So you could potentially have a person, and I think we've had this, it was like a 6-way tie between 17 and 23. Well, the 17 through 21 was exact body weight, exact weight lifted. But then 21 and 23, they had the same weight lifted, but a different body weight, a heavier body weight. So those lifters did not make the cut due to body weight.
That is correct. Thank you, Deke. I'm not seeing any more questions. Coach Johns or Margie or Scott, did you guys have anything that you may want to jump in and say or speak? We got a handful of minutes left before we'll go ahead and close out. Looks like we have one extra. That was just Josh from Arnold. Thanking you all for all this awesome information. Really helping hearing that one voice. Marnie, email me if you're not getting something information from schools. I'm here to assist. I will help you in any way. We'll get some athletic directors involved in what we need to do to help you make sure you're getting information. We're here to assist that. Go ahead, Bobby.
Yeah, and that's there again. I know I've already said it once, but that brings it back up, and that's to me, that's the worst thing that happens whenever you're hosting a meet, is when people don't have the information. So if people are, and everybody always will say, well, I didn't know. So just if you're not able to get responses from people, reach out to Robbie and those guys and let them help you to go through all avenues of making sure you get in touch with the folks that are in your district in your region, to make sure they know the rules, so that everything runs smooth and nobody can say they didn't know.
And also, if you get down to where it's a deadline and you're looking for, an entry list, and you still haven't heard from a school, let me know. The last thing we want to do is hold a student athlete out because of an adult's lack of answering emails. We just want to make sure that everybody is involved and is aware. And we never know when there's a typo in an email address or something, that anywhere we can get out and get the information to the right people to make sure these student athletes are not left out of the district or the regional meet. All right, I think, go ahead, Deke.
Real quick, just the biggest changes in the rule book. This year we have, with the profanity rule, we've adjusted the profanity rule where the head judge through the TC, through the meet host, through the FHSAA rep will be able to determine if the profanity is something that's just warning wise, or if it's gross and needs to be a DQ. Now profanity is not an automatic DQ. If a lifter says something accidentally under their breath and no one really hears it, we are not going to DQ that lifter anymore, or it's up to the judge's discretion. If it's gross at anybody, at an official, at another lifter, or anybody in the stands, that's obviously gross, and that is nothing that needs to be discussed. But it's going to be up to the coach or up to the judge. And leggings are now permissible as far as lifting. So you're allowed to wear leggings, and it's all written in the handbook. So again, just something that kind of needs to be addressed. The little rubber band thing that is attached to people's wrist wraps, again, has no bearing on the lift. Those are now permissible. So if they leave that little rubber band piece on, it's okay. The little elastic neoprene, whatever, that little rubber piece can stay on. And so it is not a no lift anymore. So just something to keep in mind as we move forward.
Hey guys, my last little thing is I really appreciate being a part of this group, and just make sure you send that contact information to info@weightliftingscore.com so that we can get everything taken care of and make sure we get all those results out to you.
Question, Robbie, I think this one's for you. How do you get a FHSAA rep to a district meet?
Send me the one you want me to come to, and we'll see time and where it is and location. And if it's an area that I can make it to, we're more than happy to make an appearance at. But we do have, what do we have? 36 going on throughout the week. So we'll see what we can do.
The anchor of the wrist wrap, it should be kind of tucked away. Again, I don't know if that's no lift worthy, but the wrist wrap has to be 4 inches. So if that anchor comes out, I don't know if that's making the wrist wrap more than 4 inches. So it should be 4 inches. Okay. Any other? If there are any other questions, please feel free to reach out to your district host, Coach Johns, Mr. Lindeman, myself, Dan Marcy, Danny Camargo, Margie Kliss, Scott Kliss. Please reach out. Don't let any question be unturned. Make sure you let us know anything that you have questions about.
And you all will be receiving an email next week as the district host with all of my contact information. If you do come across something during your meet, your district meet, your regional meet, I am available. You will have my cell phone. We're here to assist you. We want to make sure your meet runs smooth. Other than that, Deke, I think we're good. Don't forget to send that information to info@weightliftingscore.com. And we want to appreciate you all and make sure everybody stays safe during this crazy weather we're about to have here these next couple of days. And Happy New Year, and appreciate you all being a part of this.
All right, guys. Take care.
Thank you. Have a good night.